This is total.
Hey, what the hell are we recording?
Yeah, and you're screwing up the intro.
What about my part? It's supposed to be our podcast, right?
Come on, man. I'm trying to be professional about this.
You know damn well there ain't nothing professional about what we're doing here. Welcome to Totally Unprofessional. It's Manuel and Justin, his two best friends shooting the breeze about nothing and about everything. We're separated by 10 years, 2 points of view on every subject from two different generations. Listen as we talk sports, events, and anything else that might come up. There's nothing professional about what we're doing here, hence the name, Totally Unprofessional. All right, welcome back.
We are on episode 20.
And we're back on schedule. Today's Monday, even though it's 4th of July. We're potting
America.
Today. America, not America. America.
Right,
America.
There's no A. It's America.
I saw a lot of those funny memes and shit on.
I saw a thing on Instagram of, I don't know if it was real or not. It was on Men's Humor's page. It said, "Man saves struggling bald eagle. Hung upside down in a tree by shooting branches down with his rifle."
I saw that. That was hilarious. That was actually pretty good. I don't know who comes up with that shit, but that's why it's on the Men's Humor page, because some of the weird, funkiest shit comes out like that. But like I said, it's 4th of July. Happy 4th. America's not what it used to be, that's for sure. Especially if you live in California. Thank you, Jerry Brown. Here's a big old bowl of eat dick. But anyways, so we talked a little bit about the Jesse thing on Saturday.
Yes.
Well, it wasn't Friday. It was Saturday.
Yep.
Shared some opinions. I had mentioned I wanted to share something. Witnessed it again today. So I don't want to become super political with this, and I'm not trying to start a big old conversation on it. It's just an observation, and I'm sure people see it everywhere. You know, when Obama passed this whole Obamacare thing, it was about everybody having affordable health care, you know, and then punishing those who decided not to have affordable health care. Now, the whole subject of affordable health care is debatable from start to finish. It is, okay? Especially if you know people who have had to go into that limbo, as I like to call it, and have either gotten fined for not having it or have had to pay an arm and a leg to get it. I mean, self-employed people are some of the people who suffer the worst from this. But anyways, like I said, I'm not trying to get into that debate. My whole issue here is, lately we've been seeing, I know I've seen him, I'm sure Justin's seen him a couple of times, seeing as how he takes a different route to work now. He used to drive to Fresno, now he's driving down to Porterville. You definitely see it everywhere. You're seeing people on the corners with signs, pictures of either older folks or younger people. And I'm not talking about the funeral ones, because that's a different situation. I'm talking about these people who are having to go out there on the corner and hold containers of money to help them pay for medical expenses. You know, last I checked, medical care included everything. You don't just get a doctor visit or maybe your flu shot or what have you. There's people here who are legitimately having to raise money because they've got to go to maybe several cities over for cancer treatment or whatever it is they're having to go for. In our area, in the local state, you know, people are having to go to San Francisco, the cancer treatment center there, or maybe one of the big children's hospitals, and they're needing money to do this. I know that medical care itself doesn't cover transportation and stuff like that, but the whole point of him taking over this medical care and offering it the way he did was that people were not gonna have to worry about certain things like that. And now here we are, we've got people standing on street corners with containers saying, "Please help, need to go take kid or father to go get care and stuff." Mm-hmm. Ridiculous. First you're gonna fine us for not having it. Now you want people out there begging for money. I hate to use the term begging, but that's what they're doing. They're out there asking for help. And it's sad because, man, I'll tell you what, you could fill your pockets up, you know, daily and still not have enough to help some of these people. You know, they're looking for people to help people. And, man, I'm sorry, but with as much government-sponsored shit as we have, there shouldn't be a reason these people have a problem getting to where they need to get treatment. You know? Is their treatment covered? Sometimes it's not always covered. So I wanted to mention that's a failure in that Obamacare mess that came around a few years ago. Hopefully the next president, whoever it is, repeals it. And I'm sure Hillary won't, but there's a big hole there, and they need to recognize that if you're going to make people have insurance, if you're going to make them or penalize them for not, then the insurance they're going to get needs to be legit insurance.
What do you think about that, about having to have insurance?
You know what? I was raised with you worked for and you got. You know, the harder you work, the more money you made. You know, maybe that's not true in every circumstance. I'm going to tell you what, those field workers, they bust their ass out in the fields, and I don't think that they make good money. I think that they make money that's livable, but man, they bust their ass for their money. So, but again, you work hard, you're going to make some money. You know, with making money comes better options for you. I don't think that everybody should have health care. I mean, there are people, and it's a whole other conversation, but there are people who can't afford it. There are people who cannot work for it. I'm okay with my tax dollars going to take care of those people.
There's some people who it's not worth paying for it in their paycheck because you wind up losing your money trying to pay for it.
Yeah, and that's the whole other part of it. I mean, with the way they took over, it's too expensive for some people. Self-employed people are the biggest ones, but there are people who just, you can't afford it, you know, and now you're telling me, well, I can't afford it. It's called the Affordable Care Act. It's not Obamacare. It's called Affordable Care Act. It's just sponsored by Obama. It's called the Affordable Care Act, but here you are. If you can't afford it, now you're going to get penalized for it. You know, you paid a fine for it 1 year, didn't you?
I just missed it when I got the job I have now.
But wasn't it the first year they told you that you were going to pay a fine if you didn't have it next year or something?
The deal is that with the job I had originally, I was working full-time hours, but I was considered a part-time employee. They offered insurance to us that you paid for outright. If I would have paid for it, my check would have been gone.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have made sense for me to get it, so I never signed on for insurance. When I went to file my taxes that year, they said, hey, this new act's in play now, and that this year it's okay, but next year if you don't have it, you're paying a penalty of $100. And then the year after it triples to $300, then the year after $600, and so on. So the first year, I wound up paying a penalty of $100.
Yeah.
And then when it was going to come up again, I got my job that is a full-time job that has benefits and everything else. That it was in March I got hired on, and they were like, no, you're good. It's like a window from January to, I want to say April is your window when you're starting a new calendar year.
Yeah.
That if you have that, then you're good. But if you miss that window, they charge you just the same. Like if you get a job in this month, in July, and this one's got insurance, but for the first 6 months of the year you didn't have it, they still nail you. Like they still, like what they do is they like turn around and go, okay, this is what it would be, is a prorated amount for what it would be, is what it is. And that's how they get you.
Now that's a first-time account from somebody there that had to pay the fine. I don't think that they should be able to tell you, okay, you have to have insurance, and if you can't, then you're going to pay a fine. Well, that the Affordable Care, if you got on that plan, it's based on what you make, and they basically tell you what you can and you can't afford. Well, I got news for you, motherfuckers. You can't tell me what I can and can't afford. I know what I can and can't afford. Can I pinch dollars out of things? Yes, if I had to, I could. But you're trying to tell me how I'm supposed to live. You're telling me my lifestyle. You're telling me what's important to me. If I don't think healthcare is important to me, I'm not going to pay for it. You know who's going to pay for it? I will when the time comes where I need something and I'm going to go, oh shit, I should have had it. You know? I know they talk about hospitals. Sometimes they get stuck with bills. I don't think that happens near as often as they think they did. They say it does. Okay? You're going to go into the emergency room. They can't deny you care. They're going to have to care, at least keep you alive, and then you're going to have to go to a doctor. Well, then that's on you. You can't bitch if you're working and you chose not to get insurance. That's, again, it's one of those, I made the decision, I need to deal with the consequences. You can't be going on giving us a consequence just because you think it's best. I mean, and this is the way the laws are going nowadays in general. They're trying to tell us what's best for us. Hey, get the hell out of my back pocket and stay out of my life. I already pay you taxes. You shouldn't be trying to tell me what I can and can't do outside of what the Constitution already has. You know, penalizing someone for not having health insurance. I'm sorry, health insurance is a luxury. It is not a privilege. It is not a right. It is a luxury.
That's what I'm going to ask you about Canada, because everybody knows that Canada's got free health care. How does that work versus how we do it? Because obviously, it's, you know, there's tax dollars involved with us on this side of that. But how does it work for Canada? That if you're a citizen there, you get free healthcare.
Well, go look at the rest of their system and ask me if it works.
Oh, I'm not saying that it works. I'm just saying how, like, because the running joke is, well, I'll just go to Canada, you know.
Well, and that's, okay, here's the deal. I have not done the research on Canada because I don't give a damn what's going on in Canada. You know, I know what's going on here.
You don't live with the moose and the elk and the great white north?
The caribou.
Come on, eh?
I don't want to live in Canada. I don't want to live in Europe where everything's free. I live here for a reason. I was born here, and yes, I had the choice. If I wanted to leave, I could leave. But this country was founded on opportunity. Take the opportunity and make the most of it. The government's gotten to the point where they're taking away opportunity and they're giving privilege. if you're born here, you're entitled to this. Hey, no, that's not the way this country was founded. This country was founded on colonials coming over here, discovering they didn't like the way they were being treated and standing up for it and saying, no, you can't do that. Okay? Now it's happening again. They're subduing the general people, the general population, the working man in general. And I'm not talking about just people who make a lot. I'm talking about people middle class and low class. They're all getting screwed in some way or the other. They're having to pull a trailer with a bunch of people. You know, you're walking to work every day, you got a trailer of 10 people depending on you to go to work because they don't want to. Because they were born here, they're entitled to shit. Or because for a living they want to have kids, you know, and get supplemental stuff from the government. You know what? The government didn't have those kids. I didn't have those kids. They had those kids. They need to get their asses to work. Of course, not everybody's wired like that, so it's not ever going to fly, but there's some people who feel like, well, you know, you guys should give. Well, why don't you give? You know, senators and all them, they don't pay state and federal taxes. You know? I mean, if they don't, why should I? That's the whole thing, you know. There's a whole...
Do you feel it's one of those that starts at the top type deals?
Yeah. If you really want to form a good example, you should be doing it from the top. I mean, there's a whole discussion on term limits and stuff like that we could get into, but straight up, you know, they pass laws for them. They pass laws for us, but they don't apply them to them. You know, Affordable Care Act, you know, if you're a federal employee, it doesn't apply to you, right? You don't have to have it. Well, wait a minute, motherfucker. If it's so good for us, why isn't it good enough for you? Yeah. Why shouldn't you have to do it too? You know, a lot of the gun laws, they don't apply to federal employees. They only apply, or I don't want to say employees, to the Senate, to the House. It doesn't apply to them. It only applies to the general population. Well, I got a big middle finger sticking up for you guys right now, you know? I mean, if it's good enough, if it's my law, it needs to be your law. It's an American law. It's not a non-public figure law. You know, it's not a non-political figure law. It's a fucking American law. It needs to be practiced by you if you're an American citizen, you know? And to all... For those of you who wonder, illegals, I'm sorry, you get here, you don't have rights. You have nothing here. You know, if we went to Europe or to Canada or anywhere like that and tried to go say, hey, you guys owe me, they're gonna tell you eat a big bowl of dick and go back to where you came from. Right. That's what they're gonna tell you. Yeah, I stole your catchphrase.
I know. I was gonna say you're gonna need to get your own material, buddy. But, I'm gonna have to send you a cease and desist letter.
Breach of what is that called?
That's copyright infringement.
Copyright infringement.
It's my trademark.
So, that's, you know, again, that I feel bad for people that have to stand on the corner and ask for help. You know, it's a sign that something's failing here, you know. And the reason that happens is because people are allowed to people are not made to get to work at their level. If everybody worked who could work, now mind you, there's not enough jobs in this country to employ everybody, but if everybody was doing a level of work, the assistance wouldn't have to get handed to people that are capable of working but don't, and we could take care of people like this that needed it. Someone needed transportation to there, you know, they charge it to the insurance, and all of a sudden it's taken care of. You know, the insurance pays for it, or maybe there's a general fund to help. Well, we're spending so much damn money on people that don't deserve it, that don't earn it, and could earn it if they just got off their asses. We can't help people like that.
Which brings me to another point, which they've already started to put it in motion, is raising the minimum wage.
Ugh, that's a whole other fucking discussion.
I mean, I know it's a huge discussion, but it makes a job like mine kind of go, why am I getting up as early as I do? Why am I working as hard as I am?
And you're not, man, there are
and I mean, I know I'm not the only one.
Yeah, there's so many classes of people right now that are making 12, 15, and it took them 5, 10 years, 15 years to get there, you know? And all of a sudden, John Q. Burger Flipper, not to just pick on them, but John Q. Burger Flipper is making $15 an hour, you know? I got girls just out of high school. They're going to be making, well, not now they won't, but they'll be making $15 an hour right out of school. Yeah. You know, for those of you that don't know, that's around $30,000 a year.
Yeah.
And then we're still going to have to give these people public assistance for Medi-Cal and food stamp. Okay, so where do we draw the line? If we're going to give $15 an hour, fine. Oh, you want to raise it? Fine. Okay. You need to compensate everybody else above them. So everybody else needs to get bumped. You know, there's a window between me and everybody that's there. I need to get bumped too, you know. I don't care if I'm not on the bottom. I've worked my ass to where I'm at now.
Does that mean an automatic bump in everything?
That's what I'm saying. But
I mean, that's in the past. That's exactly what it's been.
But here's the problem. You know, if you start bumping everything, well, now the rate, something to transport something, whether it's food or a good, it goes up. Yeah. Every part of that ladder goes up.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to raise it if you're just doing the same thing.
Yeah, and people are saying, like, well, Seattle was the first one, I think, to pass this law. And I'm going to tell you what. They're surviving, but they're not there yet. Much like us, it won't take effect. The 15 won't be in effect till 2021. Yeah. It'll do a progressive raise. Small business owners, I don't want to say who were barely getting by, but who were making a living and were able to keep a couple of employees are not going to be able to.
Yeah.
They got to raise the prices of their goods. Now people got to pay more. It's an ugly, ugly ladder that people just don't pay attention to. I get it. You feel like you deserve more money. Well, if you feel like you deserve, what have you done to earn that money? What have you done? Okay? It has not changed. Every raise that I've gotten within my company, except for the annual raise, was a progression within my pay, meaning I passed a certain step and they gave me a raise because I've achieved something. So 6 months, mine was 6 months. Okay. Every time I've gotten a big raise, now I'm saying from job to job, it wasn't because, you've been in your job 5 years, so you should get this raise. No, it's because I had to go and qualify with the state and take tests and go through training with my company. So again, they educated me. I'm worth a little bit more. I get more money. Mm-hmm. What are these people at the bottom doing? These minimum wage jobs, it's been said 10 million times, they're not meant to support a family. Right. People say, I shouldn't work 40 hours a week and have to worry about supporting my family. I agree, but what are you doing for 40 hours a week? Okay, you can't go into McDonald's or Burger King or Carl's Jr. and work 40 hours and think you're going to support your family. That mentality is wrong. Nobody's telling these people they're wrong. There's some, but there's more people saying, well, wait a minute, they get a raise and I get a raise and then I can... No, I'm sorry. I'm going to be the first one to tell you more money does not solve those problems.
This goes back to something that we've touched on before, is that as people, yes, we're all equal. But as far as how things work, no. There's situations where it's not everybody gets the same pay, no, it doesn't work that way.
No, it does not.
You don't look at a guy in the NBA who sits the bench and plays sporadically throughout a season, if at all in the playoffs, and Steph Curry, who starts every single game that he's not hurt and is a back-to-back MVP, and go, well, because I made the team, I get the same pay that he does.
Yeah, and it's an ugly thing because there are the people that said, I deserve it, I've earned it. No, you haven't. I'm sorry. I've told my daughters this. Like I said, they're in the workforce now. They're going to be making 10 right now, 10 and a half, whatever it is now.
Yeah, it's still 10 for now.
Don't ever feel like that's enough because it's not.
No.
You got if all you ever want to do is flip burgers and that's all you ever see yourself doing, then do it. But you don't get to complain about not having that car or not having the shoes or the clothes or whatever it is that you like. I work my ass off so that I can support my family, put my kids through college, take my wife on vacations. That's why I work the way I work. Okay? At some point, it will slow down for me. And when it does, I'll have the money saved to take care of us the way I wanted us to take care of. But that's all part of a big plan. All these people can't see beyond what's in front of them. I want $15 an hour now so I can do these kinds of things.
I think, and again, that's the mentality that our society and the generations that are going through right now, that's all it is.
Yeah, for sure. Most definitely. But
I mean, I joke with my parents about, bread being a nickel and gas being 69 cents, shit like that. But truth of the matter is it was a different time, man.
Yeah.
Like, the shit that they work so hard for $3 for is not the same as what you work so hard for $3 for now.
Yeah, definitely.
And everybody wants, 3, why can't I have 5? And it's like, well, did you earn the 3? Like,
did you earn the 3? No, you didn't.
So, yeah, I mean, definitely you could go off on a whole nother podcast about this.
On another political note here, okay? Another straight. Oh, man, I lost my train of thought, didn't I? Oh, no.
Well, because you said politics and straight in the same sentence. Those two don't go together.
One thing I'm looking forward to at the end of the Obama term is these free cell phones. All these people that have been getting free cell phones, they're federally sponsored, right? That's an Obama thing again. The free cell phones. You ever seen one of those little tents on the side of the road?
Oh, yeah,
says free cell phones? Okay, those are
that's
federally
the whole thing
funded.
with that.
That will go by. It's gonna lapse unless Hillary gets elected. She might decide to go with it. But when they axe all these phones, all these people are gonna be pissed and say, "I've always had a phone. Now what am I gonna do?" Now I haven't had a landline for
a while.
For those of you who don't know what a landline is,
that's a house phone.
That's a house phone. I haven't had it for probably about 10 years, if not longer, maybe 12. Okay, because we all have a cell phone here. I paid the damn bill, so F you if you don't like it. But we all got the cell phones. There was no reason for a house phone. It was a monthly bill.
You just said F you on the show? Really?
Sometimes I try to hold my language.
I get it, but don't even throw the F out there. Just say screw you or damn you, whatever. Come on, if you're going to say F, then you say fuck.
So, yeah, watching these free phones expire is going to be pretty cool because all these people that have been locking them for a couple of years now, they're going to not have service, and all of a sudden my data's gone. And,
right.
Hey, now you got to pay for it like I do. I should have went and got a free one. Apparently all you had to do was prove you were on some sort of assistance, and they would give you one.
Time you need assistance, you have pain, and it's because you got a big wiener.
Yeah,
it's a problem.
I can't walk straight.
You have a problem. It's terrible. No, so yeah, I mean that for sure. Like there's going to be some interesting stuff as we go forward for sure.
Especially if Trump gets elected, there'll be so much changes to some stuff.
I'm not a political person. I never have been, but
I don't know who anyone supports. Just for the record, I am a Trump supporter, not a Trump follower. So it means that of the candidates right now, I would vote for Trump.
If you have to pick somebody.
If I have to pick somebody, I'm voting for Trump. I was a huge Ben Carson supporter. I was disappointed he unofficially dropped out of the race, but he was still on the ballot.
Is it possible for us to bring Bill back one more time? Man? I'm just asking.
You know what's funny is that guy, I never realized how much scandal surrounded that guy.
Yeah.
And a lot of people say, well, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, man. Overall, this homeboy was a good president. Sure, he liked some tail on the side. He liked to do things with objects.
I've heard, this isn't a personal quote, but I've heard this from several people. When we were talking about, black people and stuff like this. Apparently, from my history lesson, he was the first black president.
Wow, okay.
That's not a quote from me. That's from people that I know who are black, and they've said that.
Hey, you know what? I've always said it goes back.
I could get behind that though.
If you know what, if that's what your thing is, that's what your thing is. It's not. I'm not gonna sit here and pass judgment on anybody for it. And hey, I'm gonna tell you what.
I'm just saying, business in this country was booming when he was in office, and he didn't fuck it up. All he did was want a piece of ass. Is that so wrong? You want to kick a guy out of office for getting an extra piece of ass by somebody who was younger than his wife, who we clearly know is not a 10. I'm not saying Monica was a 10, but
she's definitely higher.
She was better than Hillary. And let's be honest, the people that have preceded him have fucked up far worse than he ever could have with getting his jollies off.
I agree. I agree. There has not been a good president since Clinton. Not to imply that Clinton was a good one, but we had surplus. The country was not in debt when he left office. He had some good public policies. So yeah, we miss the Clinton days. Doesn't mean Hillary's going to do the same thing though. This broad is definitely.
If she gets elected, you're gonna find her in the Oval Office getting her dick sucked. That's what you're gonna find out.
That is definitely a possibility, isn't it? All right, enough of our political policies and stuff like that. I just wanted to touch a little bit on that, but
like we said, we'd like to branch out a little bit.
There's more than just sports, even though this is going to be dominated by sports today because we had some big happenings yesterday.
Big happenings.
You want to start with some of the smaller things that happened before? KD.
Obviously, for the Celtics, the Al Horford deal went through. At the time we recorded our podcast on Saturday, the deal wasn't done yet, but Al Horford agreed to 4 years, $113 million with the Boston Celtics. Definitely stoked about that. Like I said on Saturday, that he's tough. He has a level of toughness and on defense, and that he's a great shooter from the mid-range, so he can guard multiple positions, which is definitely helpful. That noise you hear in the background is Manuel getting ice. So it's definitely one of those things that I'm stoked about. There was a couple teams that were pitching to Kevin Durant. The Celtics were included on Saturday. The Mavs had made an offer to Harrison Barnes over the weekend for $94 million over 4 years.
That's not a surprise. We knew the guy was going to get paid somewhere.
Yeah, he was a restricted free agent, meaning that whoever offered him a deal, the Warriors had 3 days to match. And if it was multiple teams, he would have his choice, and then whoever it was would have their opportunity.
Has he made his decision yet?
To this point, yes, he has. He agreed to the Mavs deal. The only other team that said to be in the hunt for him was Philadelphia, but they never officially made an offer. So he agreed to make a deal with the Mavs for that amount. Rajon Rondo agreed to $28 million for 2 years with the Chicago Bulls. Jimmy Butler's going to love that. Rondo, again, last year led the league in assists. So good luck to Jimmy Butler having somebody who can pass him the ball now. That'll help get him some more touches. And those younger guys are going to enjoy having a veteran on that team that has championship experience. That'll definitely help. Let's see who else. Jamal Crawford re-signed with the Clippers. He got paid. So that was another big name that wound up going ahead and re-signing with the team he actually started with at the beginning of this free agency. So it was interesting. to see how that went down.
So you want to sit on this KD thing now?
So, if you don't know,
the talk of the weekend. This is the talk of the NBA.
Well, hold on. The Warriors have agreed to pick up Sean Livingston's option, so he'll make $5.8 million to stay.
Excuse me.
Manu Ginobili wrote in a blog on his website or whatever it is. They went ahead and said that he's coming back.
Well, he's got another year.
He denied his player option last month, so they have to restructure a new deal. And Pau Gasol finalized a 2-year deal with the Spurs for over $30 million.
So have they said anything officially on Duncan? Is he done?
It's on Twitter right now that it says it remains to be seen who is shed in a trade or what happens with Tim Duncan, because they have to create space for that Pau deal. If Duncan retires and they go ahead and do it that way, the cap hit is $2 million over the next 3 seasons, which isn't as bad as what they thought it was going to be. Which is good for the Spurs. They get a little. I hope that he comes back, but it is what it is. So the Warriors traded or are in the process, final stages as it says, of trading Andrew Bogut to the Warriors.
Yeah.
For like a 2nd-round pick or something like that. Because as of this morning, Kevin Durant made his decision to not go back to Oklahoma City and decided he was going to the Bay and signed a 2-year deal with the Warriors with a player option for the 2nd year at $54.2 million.
Sell out.
Now, what it is here in the title odds, I'll give you the title odds for Vegas right now. And this was after Kevin Durant made his announcement. You got the Cavaliers at 5-2. You got San Antonio number 2.
What?
Yeah. Oklahoma City 8-1. The Clippers at 16-1, and the Celtics were 20-1, and then it goes down from there. It says after Kevin Durant's news, the Celtics leapfrog the Oklahoma City Thunder and are tied for the Clippers with the 4th best title odds.
And where is Golden State in all this?
They are. It doesn't have them listed on
even
here right
money.
now. Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't have them on.
Or
here
maybe
right
even like a minus plus 150.
Yeah. So interesting for sure. It definitely sent the basketball world on its ear.
Yes, it did.
Interested, like people. I saw tweets that said, "My kids don't get to light fireworks till you make your decision, Kevin Durant." There was a lot of stuff out there, and I was on my phone just like the rest of them on my lunch hour this morning. Disappointed a little bit as a Celtic fan for sure. I felt that if we got him and Horford with the pieces that we had, that we're literally all you got to do is beat one team and you're in the finals. Easy team to beat? No, but definitely you're looking at the next 4 or 5 years where you're in that spot almost every year.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is the route I figured he would go. Like, if you're really about that business, but he chose to go to the Warriors. Stephen A. Smith was quoted as saying it's the weakest move he's ever seen from a superstar player.
Weaker than LeBron going to Miami?
Yeah, because you look at what that team has accomplished in the last 2 years.
True. I saw one that said that they're going to score 200 points this year.
Yeah. That was one of the players, the NBA players said that. To me, do I see it as a cop-out? Yes and no. Yes, because you're looking at a team who set a historical record, who's been to the finals back-to-back years, won the championship the year before, and had a 3-1 lead in this series this year. So, to that degree, is it a cop-out? Yes. But if you're the Warriors and you can afford it.
Yeah. No, and that's why I think a lot of people, I don't want to say we should back off, but should understand they could give him the money that he was going to get somewhere else. Mm-hmm. They did, and let's say it out on paper, Golden State's the best team in the league right now.
Here's where I'll say it's a cop-out. If he options out after the 2 like he has the 2nd year, I think he stays for both years, to be honest.
Yeah.
It'd be dumb for him to leave after 1 year.
Because, now, correct me if I'm wrong, Thompson, Green, and Curry are at least locked up for 2 years, right? Aren't they all?
Curry's a free agent after next year. Oh. Everybody else is locked in till at least 18-19.
Wow.
So nobody's going anywhere.
Yeah.
So I don't see him optioning out of the second year.
That's why I was saying the second year is more realistic.
This is where I see the cop out. If he finishes his 2-year deal out completely and he leaves and goes somewhere else, then it's a cop out. Because then you know you were just there for the ring grab and the run.
Yeah.
Now, is that the goal as a professional athlete, is to win a championship? Absolutely. That's always the ultimate goal.
Hey,
but
Monix won one on the Celtics. Nobody knew who that was,
right? This is true. Poor Jackie Moon. Didn't ever see it coming. We're going to run it till you throw up, Jackie! It's one of those things that if he stays and it turns out to be like a 5-year thing, you're looking at a potential dynasty.
Yes. Yeah.
Definitely. And I don't care who's on the other side.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter to me that if it's Cleveland again or whoever, you're looking at a dynasty. Harrison Barnes was a good player. Not a great player, but a good player. And a starter in the NBA. You're going to find out how good he is now that he's leaving Golden State. It doesn't have the superstars that he did in Golden State. But I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to see the best Kevin Durant you've ever seen.
Probably.
And I'll tell you why. Because he doesn't have to be Kevin Durant, the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Yeah.
He can just be Kevin Durant that's on the Warriors. Because, like we talked about with LeBron, not wanting that spotlight because Steph's the MVP and it takes the heat off of him and shit like that, Kevin Durant no longer has to hear the argument of whose team it is, of his or Russell Westbrook's. Yeah. Why is Russell Westbrook taking as many shots as Kevin Durant? Guess what? That argument's gone because you play on a team where everybody shoots the ball. Yeah. You play on a team where the ball moves constantly. Where if you don't get yours, it's okay because somebody else is going to get theirs. And you're going to get wins just based on that. He doesn't have to be the greatest player on your team. He doesn't have to argue with the guy who he's to the public has said, hey, this is my friend. You know, we don't have those disputes. I disagree. I think those disputes did happen. Maybe not intense. But I think that, just like anything else, that if you are what you say you are as an elite player, Michael Jordan punched Steve Kerr in the face in practice because of the shit that didn't get done. If you are that player that accepts nothing less than the very best and you hold people accountable, then those disagreements come up.
Yeah.
And I think that to the public, he could have said, no, that's not what we do. But I guarantee you that probably happened.
Yeah.
And by him going to the Bay, it's Steph's team. Yeah. It's not, don't get it twisted. It's not Clay and Steph's team. It's not Draymond and Steph's team. It's Steph's team.
Yeah.
Steph is what makes that team go. When he goes off, it fuels everybody else. Draymond Green has had some great games and has been a proven star. But that's Steph's team.
Yeah.
So when you see that, suddenly the cop-out thing makes sense a little bit. And suddenly it does become a bit of a weak move. It was the obvious move of, well, you could go there.
Yeah.
And from what I was reading on Twitter and throughout different articles was that he was looking at the Warriors, the Celtics, and going back to OKC. Al Horford actually was in a meeting with the Oklahoma City Thunder and was said that he couldn't get a straight answer on whether or not Westbrook and Durant were going to be there long term. Because I don't know if you know this, but Russell Westbrook's contract situation is he's a free agent after this next season.
Yeah, I did know that.
And right now, the Thunder are shitting themselves because they're trying to get a deal done to extend Westbrook's contract before he can leave.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of dominoes that could fall because of this. It opens up some space. It does make room for the Celtics to still make some moves. They still have the money to offer people. So they could make some moves as far as draft picks. They still have, Brooklyn's unprotected picks coming up, and they have space. So they could be, this summer, they may not be done yet making moves. But as far as, the Oklahoma City Thunder, you can kiss your ass goodbye in the West.
Yeah.
You're going to get wins with Russell Westbrook and Victor Oladipo, but you're not going to be the same team.
You're not that finals team that can.
You're not that guy that just had the Warriors against the wall 3-1. You're not that team. I'm sorry, you're not. Especially now when the guy who was the star of the supposed, well, if we take one away, we still have this guy. You don't have that problem now. Now you can focus on Russell Westbrook. Serge Ibaka's not there. I'll take Victor Oladipo trying to rip me up over Kevin Durant or Russell Westbrook any day. So, I mean, that team is going to go downhill fast if Westbrook leaves. They're already losing ground, especially in the West.
Yeah.
The West is super strong. And how do you get better from 73-9?
I was going to say, Golden State 73 win record. In jeopardy next year already?
Yes. How can it not be?
Yeah.
For the team that they had this year, they're going to have to do something to get a center.
Yeah.
They did take a draft pick center, and they do have McAdoo, who they're trying to bring along, but they still have enough money to work a deal to where it opens up for them to get like a mid-level exception, like a veteran center that can play here or there. Mm-hmm. So they're still going to have to make like at least one more move to bring somebody in as a center, but by and large, that team just jumped from, however great you thought it was, it just got greater. And everybody's, the 73-9 didn't mean anything because they didn't win. Well, guess what? They just made sure that they're going to be locked in to come back and show you why they're where they are.
Most definitely.
I mean, it's craziness. And a lot of people around the league are, the joke is, well, you can't use that team on the video game.
Yeah.
That's the joke right now. But I just think that going forward, this is the league that we're in now with the NBA. That guys aren't loyal like they used to be. It's more about, and I mean, there's been ridiculous amounts of money we talked about already being thrown around.
Yeah,
he's one of the guys that deserves that kind of money.
No, he's definitely that kind of player that gets paid.
At the same time, like he had said in many meetings, like, "Hey, it's not about the money. That's not what it's about. It's not about a legacy. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
because
he took off.
If you wanted, you could have stayed in Oklahoma, or you could have went to Boston with a bunch of young guys. Where you and Al Horford are the two guys that have the experience. Nobody else on that team has the experience that you guys do. And you're going to walk away from that and go, nah, I'd rather go over here with these guys who are already here. I understand it. I'm not saying that, it's a stupid move. It was obviously the obvious move, in my opinion. I didn't think he was staying. I felt like by them, and I said this on the podcast, that when you said, is it enough for them to make him stay by them going 3-1 and then losing, being on the cusp of being right there, was it enough for them to stay? And I said, I don't think so.
So you were right, yeah.
And it just turned out. And Paul Pierce said it. I said it out loud talking to one of my coworkers this morning. If you can't beat them, join them.
Yeah.
It is what it is. That's just how it went.
So would it be safe to say that when Tim Duncan and Tony Parker and Ginobili are officially out of the league, that the last of the old school players are gone now? I'm barring there are some old guys here and there, but I mean the last of that devoted player to his team. Parker and Ginobili and Duncan have been doing things for San Antonio for God as long as I can remember. I mean, you go back to the '90s for those guys. I mean, are those the last?
Well, Duncan's first title was '99.
Yeah, so I'm saying you go back a long time. Is this Is that the last time we see that player when those three are gone?
Yeah. There's not a doubt in my mind, because it's more of the views we've been talking about now for several episodes. It's a lot of that in the NBA. And part of that is that one and done mentality. Yeah. These kids are maturing as they come along in the league, and so once you hit like your third and fourth year off your rookie deal, well, I want to get paid. I've showed you that I can play. I've showed you that I'm here, and then you just have all this stacks of money now because of the cap. Nobody's willing to sit here and go, you know what? I'm gonna stick it out through the bad shit too. Rondo didn't want to stay in Boston when they hit the rebuild button.
Yeah.
And they sent him to Dallas, and they got, a couple players for us. Could he have stayed? Yeah. Do I think it would have been smarter for him to stay? Yeah. But look where we're at now. It enabled us to get Isaiah Thomas and look at the young team.
Look at the young team that's there.
And you never want a locker room with guys that don't want to be there.
Yeah, that's true.
That's always a thing. You don't want to sit here and go, I'm tired of fucking losing. I was a winner in college. I was a winner in high school. Yeah. How come I'm not winning now?
That's a falling domino that just infects locker rooms. You don't just see it in basketball. Mm-hmm. You see it in every sport. Those guys that just don't belong. They don't want to be there. You need to just let them move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think too many teams and owners, GMs and owners, sit there and go, well, you're under contract with us. You're not going nowhere. I think that's the wrong move. It's a bad chemistry move. Like, if I tell them, here's the deal. You want out? Fine. You get this much axed off of what you were going to get paid, and we'll buy you out.
Well, look at what Mike Brown in Cincinnati did to Carson Palmer. Carson Palmer wanted out. Brown told him, no, you're under contract. Carson said, I'll sit. He sat. And he sat, until it took an old Bengal coach in Hugh Jackson to cut whatever he told Brown, and whatever they worked out worked, but it took someone shaking Braun up to say, hey, okay, yeah, well, here's what we'll give you. And he talked the Raiders into doing it, into taking Carson. Look where Carson's at now. So, I mean, I guess if you're willing to sit, you just got to be willing to prove it,
That's why I'm glad that the Celtics didn't go after Dwight Howard, that deal was done before anything else. Once that deal was done, it gave me a legitimate feeling of like, okay, we got a real shot at Al Horford. I don't see him going back. What for?
Yeah.
They got Dwight. And I didn't want Dwight Howard to start with.
Yeah, that guy's a bad locker room guy from everything. It's just not worth having.
To me, he's a cancerous player.
Yeah,
and I wouldn't want him on my team.
That guy's he's gonna be one of the I don't want to say great players, but he's gonna be one of those good players that everybody's gonna say, yeah, he got paid, but he never really did anything.
Yeah,
just kind of lingered around.
I don't see him winning a ring.
No, I don't think any team with the chemistry to win a ring would want him there, because the kind of chemistry you need in a locker room to win a ring, a trophy, whatever you're chasing, it does not take players like that. It can't handle players like that. We've seen it happen with teams. Teams fall apart in critical moments because they do have a player like that. It just doesn't work. It doesn't. So I got a question for you. Okay, so we're going to go back to Golden State with KD there now. Okay. What's the biggest hurdle they have to overcome now going forward next year?
Chemistry. How do you... This is something that it goes back to the Celtics. When they brought in Ray Allen and Kevin Garnett in 2007, 2008, they went ahead and brought them in and said, Paul, you're the star of the show, but these are the two guys we're bringing in. And somehow you guys all have to figure out how everybody gets their amount of work in that we brought you here for.
Yeah.
That was 3 guys. One of them's not a shooter. Kevin Garnett is not a shooter. I mean, yeah, he stretches the floor at 7 feet tall and can shoot that mid-range, and it's a beautiful thing to watch. But he wasn't the guy that you knew had to get touches to shoot. He had to get touches on the block. You had to let him work his post stuff. But you always knew that he could kick inside out if he needed to. It was Ray and Paul that had to be the guys to give and take. And Rondo was the guy that had to facilitate that on who got what ball and where.
Yeah.
And what makes the most sense there and here. They figured it out in that first year that certain guys needed the ball. And there's a clip somewhere, you could YouTube it, where they're talking about how on different nights where Garnett's like, I'm getting old, and Ray Allen goes, I'm getting old. There's going to be nights where I'm going to be climbing on your back. And he goes, screw that, I'm going to be climbing on your back. And they're going back and forth. And then they ask, all 3 of them are sitting at a table, and they say, game's on the line, who's taking the shot? 2 of them said Paul, 1 of them said Ray. When you have that unselfishness to not say yourself, that takes it to another level.
Yeah.
And this is what I talked about with Kevin Durant. I don't think he minds giving up shots. Yeah. He showed that with Russell Westbrook.
Yeah.
I don't think that that's going to be a problem. What I think is how does he fit in their offense? They run, he likes to run. They like to push the ball, he's okay with that.
Yeah.
But how is he going to react to playing defense like they like to play defense? How is he going to react when he's having an off night? Is he going to keep shooting until he gets it? Is he going to give up the ball? Is he going to get mad at Steph for taking shots from way the hell out there? Is he going to get mad at Klay? We saw what happened in the playoffs, how they went through their shooting slumps.
Yeah.
Does that mean that Kevin steps in and takes that role? Does he become more of an emotional player? Because you have guys like Draymond Green and Steph who are emotional players.
Yeah.
Does that bring something out of him that Russell Westbrook couldn't? Because between the two, Russell Westbrook was the monster. Yeah. Even though the bastard looks like E.T., he was the emotional of the two.
Yeah.
Does that come out of Durant now? Because do those guys bring that out of him? It's a chemistry thing for sure.
So would it be safe to say with those 4 on the floor that there's never a shooting slump for Golden State again? Because one of those 4 is
because
bound to be on.
It's the old theory that if you live by the jump shot, you die by the jump shot, and that was proven in the playoffs this year. Last year it wasn't that they were crazy good, like they just can't miss. It was they were smart in their shot selection last year. They didn't force things as much as they did this year, and so they made better shot selections and they made more shots. This year that didn't happen. They forced a lot. Stuff that wasn't there, they tried to create. And that didn't work for them this year. And so they died by the jump shot this year. So, no, I'm not going to say that means that there's never a shooting slump for them. But I think it's how do you get 4, not 3, 4 out of 5 guys on that floor into a rhythm.
Yeah.
And to keep them going. Because at some point, to get one of them going, you're going to have to leave them with the second unit for a little while.
Yeah.
Which I think is probably going to fall in the hands of Clay, judging off of this year.
Especially with the way he was running the point sometimes.
Yeah. So I think that it's going to be Clay's job to keep his rhythm by running the second unit, and then they'll bring in Livingston, and he'll take over from when he gets his breather. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting. Their biggest hurdle for sure is going to be the chemistry and how it works with four guys. Draymond, Clay, Steph, and now Kevin, and how they all fit together and get their touches to get them into a rhythm. Not how many touches you get in a game. What gets you going? Not everybody's hot right out the gate.
Yeah, for sure.
So, you know, I think it's one of those things. And I don't think that Clay and Steph have an issue of not taking as many shots as long as it's the right person shooting. I mean, I know for myself as somebody who plays basketball, still coaches basketball, as somebody who was and is a shooter, you have that mentality, that short-term mentality of that I can make it, I can keep shooting. Even when you're off, I got to keep shooting.
Yeah.
And there's times where there's people that you play with on your team that you know that once you let that ball go on a pass, that you may not feel as confident as you do with them shooting as you do yourself. And I don't think that they've had an issue giving the ball to somebody like Draymond or giving the ball to somebody like Iggy. But there are times where there's certain guys like Harrison Barnes in the playoffs. Holy shit, you had to be somewhat, reluctant to pass that guy the ball at a certain point when you're 2 for 22 from the field, period. Not just threes, but from the field.
Yeah.
That's a problem. And with Kevin, I don't think that's going to be an issue for them. It's going to be about how he fits in that chemistry with that team.
So we talked about this the other day. What about, so I asked you, is Golden State now the Cleveland of the West? How Cleveland kind of just ran through the playoffs. Is Golden State that much farther above everybody in the West? Or is the West still competitive the way it was last year?
I'm not going to say that they're dominant or like that far dominant because of the chemistry factor. I think people don't really realize that. If you don't pay attention to team sports as closely as we do with you with football and me with basketball, you've seen it a million times with your Bengals over the years that they bring in new people, star players from that were either free agents or that they made a trade for. And you're like, fuck yeah, they got this guy, and then they bring him in, and he just doesn't fit what they're trying to do. Or you think like, oh no, he's productive, and then they bring him in, and he doesn't have the same numbers, and you're like, why? Like, what is wrong? Like, it just there's gonna be that there for the first year at least. So I think that whether they hit their stride late in the year and they just run through everybody into the playoffs, like there's gonna be a struggle. And in the West is far tougher than the East. And it kind of depends on what happens. This deal where Gasol's going to the Spurs, they have to free up a little bit of room. They'll make that happen. They'll get Gasol in there, or else they wouldn't agree to the deal. The offer wouldn't be on the table if they didn't think they could do it. So the Spurs will get Gasol. They already got LaMarcus Aldridge last year.
Yeah.
I think they're going to let go of David West to bring in Gasol. And then you have Ginobili, who's already said he's coming back. Tony Parker's still under contract. And then Tim Duncan is under contract if he chooses to come back. So I think that if you bring all those guys back, is San Antonio the team that could be like, no, we're going to take him down? San Antonio's always the quiet team.
Yeah.
They're not flashy. Popovich wasn't at the meeting for Kevin Durant.
So there was.
If that tells you something about Pop.
I saw a post on, I don't remember if it was Facebook or Instagram, where they showed Popovich and it said, if he's waiting for me to call him at 12 o'clock, I'm not.
I'll be asleep.
Yeah, I'll be asleep. Yeah. He's not going to chase that star player that wants that special treatment. But that's San Antonio. That's the way they do.
That's another one of those you were talking about, like the loyalty and that generation of players. That's a guy that you'll never see again. A guy like Pop.
What's he's done in San Antonio?
Just the way that he coaches, not just in San Antonio, but the precedent that he sets with his players. Mm-hmm. You're never going to see a guy that comes in and doesn't give a shit about the media. The way that he's just like, I'm here to coach basketball. I'm not here to entertain you. And even he makes funny jokes and stuff with Craig Sager and all that stuff in his quarterly interviews.
Yeah.
But he's very sarcastic. He's very meh. Like, I'm here to coach basketball. And it's funny.
He goes Marshawn Lynch on him?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, very much so. That's exactly what it is. He should be quoted as saying, I'm just here so I don't get fined. You know what it is.
That guy's he's going to forever be remembered for that nonsense. It's going to be awesome.
And I think Pop's that guy. Now, you go to the Clippers. They brought Austin Rivers back. They brought Ball Mute back. That was announced today. But it's yet to be seen what Griffin, Jordan, and Paul can do beyond what you've seen so far. Is that the ceiling for them?
Yeah.
DeAndre Jordan got paid last year. He backed out of his Mavericks deal to come back.
Yeah.
That's great, but do they have the pieces to get there? I think they have the pieces to get to the Western Finals with Golden State. But do I think that they're going to be a team that's going to beat Golden State? No.
Probably not.
They're just not deep enough. That's what makes the Warriors better than everybody else. It's not that they got superstars. It's they're deep, and their guys know their roles. Iguodala's not asking you to start. Sean Livingston's not telling you, I need to be the point guard or the two guard next to Steph. Why am I not getting paid more for being here? The team picked up his option for a reason. They want him there. He's significant to their team. Sean Livingston could be a starting point guard in the NBA somewhere else.
Oh, yeah.
Andre Iguodala, even though he's late in his career, he could be a veteran starter somewhere. But they're choosing to stay.
They're okay with their roles.
They're okay with doing what they're doing. You have a guy like Leandro Barbosa, been a journeyman in the pros for a lot of years. Hey, I know my job. I can stay here.
I'll step in whenever you need me.
Yep, you call my number, I'm ready.
Yeah.
I just think that Steve Kerr, and it tripped me out initially when they fired Mark Jackson 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. But it was like, why? Like, these guys are right on the brink of something big with a young team. And then you bring in Steve Kerr, and you bring in a couple other pieces like Iggy and some bench guys, and you're like, it's different. And not on a whole, like, where every player's different. It's not a whole new roster. It's just a couple guys and a new coaching staff.
Yeah.
And now suddenly this team is looking at being a team. I think that's the biggest thing, that when you look at people, when you look at the Cavs, you don't look at the Cavs and go, man, the Cavs, and the Heat combined have made it. They're the last 6 Eastern Conference champions, from combined, 2 from Cleveland and 4 from Miami. What you hear is LeBron James has made it to the finals 6 straight times.
Yeah.
You don't hear Miami and Cleveland made it.
You hear LeBron.
You hear LeBron James made it.
Yeah.
When you hear the team, people talk about the Warriors, it's the Warriors made back-to-back finals.
Yeah.
It's not Steph Curry made back-to-back finals. It's not Klay Thompson or Draymond Green made back-to-back finals. It is a team thing. And that, to me, is what in all fairness, I think that was one of the bigger selling points. I know Jerry West was the big hammer in the nail, so to speak, on the last phone call that Durant got from the Golden State Warriors. But by and large, I mean, who wouldn't want to play with a team that's unselfish?
Yeah, true.
Who wouldn't want to be a part of something where not only is everybody getting their cut of the pie money-wise, but you're succeeding. You're there success-wise.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody's going, I want more money than him. I want more money. They're going, you get your money, and we'll pay you, and we'll pay you. But understand that we're trying to keep everybody fairly even, a couple bumps here and there, because this guy's a back-to-back MVP, and this guy's a good shooter. But the shooter's not going to make the MVP money, and they're all okay with it.
Yeah. Scary, isn't it?
Yeah. It's freaky. And, you want to talk about a super team. This is about as close as you're gonna get.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
so we didn't talk mentioned it the other day. Luke Walton's first move as a Lakers coach.
Luke Walton's first move as a players coach should be to close the office door, take the pillow off the couch, and put it over his face, and just scream as loud as he fucking can, and ask himself, why did I do this?
What the hell did I just do?
Why did I get myself into this mess? Because as great as it seemed that he could be with the Warriors while Steve Kerr was out, people need to understand that there was a staff and a system in place.
Yeah, for sure.
And here's what's interesting. If you're Luke Walton, do you run the triangle that Phil Jackson ran when you were a player? Or do you run this run and gun style that the Warriors ran and try to copy this small ball team and go, oh, well, I was there, I'm going to do that too?
The beauty of it to me is that he's going to have the option. He's got the history with the triangle.
Because it's the Lakers.
Of course, here we go.
It's the Lakers.
It's the showtime, and they're going to have... I don't know. I thought that was hilarious.
You think that they give a fuck about money? Ask Mike Brown if they care about money. Ask Rudy Tomjanovich if they care about money. Those are guys who didn't make it halfway. One of the two didn't even make it a quarter of the way. And they said, we don't need you no more. When they still owed, Mike D'Antoni was still owed 2 years of money.
And they cut him.
Which was almost somewhere around $15 to $20 million. And they went, see ya, we'll find somebody else.
Yeah, this could definitely be interesting. The move, Mozgov. What'd they give him?
16 a year.
16 million a year. What? 3 years, right? Or was it 4? 4 years. 4 years, $16 million a year. How many minutes did he play?
In the regular season, he averaged 17. In the playoffs, he averaged 7.
If you're a Laker fan and you have an answer, by all means post
it. I
it.
respect NBA owners more if they went to a strip club and just threw money at the strippers. Because at least you know these women are working.
Yeah.
Like, these dudes are making money for doing jack shit.
So is this, okay, can this be looked at as maybe a preemptive move to the triangle then?
No. No, not yet.
No.
Nah, he hasn't spoken about it yet. And he's not the GM, he's the coach. There's certain guys like Doc Rivers has the coaching and basketball operations president title. There's certain guys in the league that have that title where they get to pick their players and they get to pick.
So
he's not one of them.
So do you think that this move, you see him being on page with this move? You think that he was on board with bringing this guy in, or do you think he's just?
I think he had to be. I don't think that they make a move without telling him. I don't think he was going, no. I think that he went, we could use him. Like, I could see where he fits. They've played him 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
So, obviously, he saw something in him. I'm sure he kind of went, hey, without going too crazy, we could get this guy.
Yeah.
You know, but I think that they, in the NBA, they've all gone batshit crazy with money.
Yeah.
So,
and the cap was raised to what?
It was raised $107 million across the league.
So
everybody's fat wallet's got a little bit fatter.
Yeah.
Rich get richer. Ain't that some shit?
I'm not asking for a lot. I just need one season of NBA salary.
All I'm saying is I don't need the whole pie. Just give me a piece.
Just give me a bite.
Right? Shit.
It's definitely.
I'll stand there and be a padded dummy and just let people run through me.
Take all the charges all day.
All day long.
These guys are definitely making.
I'll be the dipshit that stands there with the padded sticks, hacking people on the way to the basket, so they work on going through contact to finish dunks and layups. I don't care if there's somebody's nuts in my face because they're dunking on me. I'll cry about it with money from my paycheck.
I'll take baths, so I'll use the money, the dollar bills as freaking scrubbers.
That's right. It's fine. It's fine.
That's hilarious.
I'll be the guy that just shags balls while they shoot. I'll get the rebound. I'll pass you the ball.
I'll wipe the sweat off the damn court if I had to.
Right? Jesus.
That's awesome.
I'll bring you a stack of towels. Just a year's worth. 1 year.
1 year. 1 year. I'll be
That's all I'm asking for.
Set for a long time after that.
That's it. That's all I need.
All right. Well, we're here. We're at the end. We covered what we wanted to today.
Yeah.
Happy 4th. If you're out there, be careful.
Be safe out there.
If you got dogs,
don't pull a Jason Pierre-Paul
and
lose some fingers.
Yeah.
Please be smart.
You got dogs, lock them up, keep them safe.
Yeah, because some of us don't want to hear them whining and crying because you're scaring the fuck out of them.
Yeah, and
I know your wife has been posting on social media about it. I almost, I was about this close, and you guys can't see it, but I got my fingers real close together. This close to sending her the link to the Sarah McLachlan video.
My wife's been passionate about dogs lately, and she's been wanting to rescue everyone she sees in the neighborhood. Thank God she don't have a key to the fence.
Oh, she just came in here.
I did not give you permission. Talk about me.
So keep your animals safe tonight. Remember they're veterans with PTSD as well. You know, be smart. You guys know who they are. They're your neighbors. People, just be smart about it. These guys, they went and served for us. And
I would say, not only that, but also make sure to thank them.
Yeah, you thank them to support this. It's an Independence Day. We're celebrating what little bit of independence we still have. So, on that note, this has been Monday's edition.
Episode 20.
Episode 20.
Episode 20 deep.
That's right.
20 and twin. I'm Justin.
I'm Manuel.
And we've been Totally Unprofessional.